listening to The Bob Dean Show, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hey there, gang. It's me, Bob Dean. Welcome back. Thank you for bearing with me over the last couple of weeks. Thank you, Sam. What do you think of my new background, ladies and gentlemen? Woo! It's my shelf of memories. Behind me, I have the pet rock. Where do I go like that? The pet rock that I got for Christmas in 1972. And my hip bone for my surgery. I'll point all these things out in detail on another episode. And my awards for the hairiest back contest and the 8th grade science fair at Bellevue Junior High for my mouthwash experiment. I will be appearing on stage live at the the Ha Ha Club on Lancashire in North Hollywood a week from today on the 29th, Thursday the 29th. Show starts at 8, doors open at 7:30. Tickets you can buy for a discount online if you're connected with me on social media or get in touch with me. And I'd love for you guys to come out. Percy is this show. He's a great comic and a great guy. Looking forward to doing it pretty regularly. What else? Kathy St. George is back in Beverly Hills. Hi, Kathy. Kathy got in late last night after the usual mayhem of anybody who has to fly anywhere, and stuck in Charlotte. And she got into the hotel very late last night. So she's back, and we're going to get an episode together with Kathy while she's here. Well, pre-recorded. Anyway, everything's good. Let's see what else. Not much. My guest today is a very interesting man. The one thing that's really cool, I work at the Mosaic Hotel. My rent-paying job is at the Mosaic Hotel at 125 South Spalding in Beverly Hills. I'm the bartender, the cocktail waitress, waiter, busboy, room service attendant, and pool boy. And for what work is, I've never been happier. It's a great spot. One of the reasons is you get to meet terrific people from all over the city, all over the country, and all over the world. And many, many of them are repeat guests because they realize it's a really cool spot. And, I hope that I'm part of that, making them comfortable. Today, our guest is Phil Yagoda from Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Phil, how are you today?
Good, Bob. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Phil's lovely wife, Cheryl, couldn't join us today, but hopefully, because what always happens, Phil, is we get into conversation and the time flies really fast. And hopefully you'll have a good time. But everybody ends up coming back for a second so we can finish up, what we don't finish.
Okay, well, I'd love to come back and bring her next time if
she wants to get in front of the camera. If not, but she's a lovely lady. And the reason I bring Cheryl up as well is because I was just telling everybody, Phil, you may have heard how much I enjoy my rent-paying job. And because this is my favorite line, I'm a comedian. People say, what do you do? I'm an actor and a comic, which means I'm a bartender, which is, it's true. But I love it. And Phil and his wife are regular guests, meaning a lot of trips like from Atlanta to Beverly Hills for business, pleasure, etc. But they always stay with us, and it lets you get to know people. And what next week, your daughter's going to be here or be there, correct?
Yeah.
So I get to meet your daughter, a twin. Tell us about your daughters.
Oh, my girls, they're the best. They're identical girls. They both went to University of Michigan. The one who's coming out works at Paramount, and the other one just started. She just graduated her master's from Columbia and just started working at NYU. So
that's fantastic.
Very proud of both of them. They're
and your boy?
Girls. And my son is a sophomore now at the University of Michigan. So everyone goes to Michigan and loved it. And he loves it, living his best life. And so we're just very, very blessed, with it.
You guys light up when you talk about your children, and that's pretty awesome. What's the Michigan connection? Just a choice, or would you have a family, or
No, it was, when they were looking at schools, obviously I love it, but I told them, go to a school where 20 years from now you can turn on the TV and be proud and root for your school. So it's an unbelievable academic institution.
Yes, it is.
Number one in so many things. And actually this year they actually won the national championship. So it was a great first year for Ian to be there. But it's just a great school all around. It's a beautiful school. kids. They're all, top-notch kids. They're all smart, bright, and the university really has so much to offer. And honestly, the only thing I was a little bit nervous about when they were going to go was the weather, because we come from Atlanta, where it's, the weather's pretty nice all year. And then you go up to Michigan, and it was a little fearful. But I will say, I think this whole global warming thing is a real thing. When the girls went, they shut the school 5 times in the history of the school. And one of those times was when they were there, they had this polar vortex, and it was out. I mean, just so cold they couldn't even go out of their dorms. But last year, Ian's freshman year, he said he only wore his heavy coat 3 times. So I don't know what's going on, but it really is great.
But that's so strange. The polar vortex. I remember that was big because the whole country was frozen.
Yeah, it was.
And that's what I tell you how the joke I made about the and put it on TikTok. TikTok. Ugh. About the lemons, did I mention when it was so cold everywhere else? I make these little Bob Dean moments that I put on my website, and it also helps to inspire my comedy. If people laugh or whatever, then I'll write it into my act. But I did this video. The pool area at the Mosaics, really, it's comforting and inviting and cozy. And on the side, there's lemon and lime trees in that thing there. So I started off by walking around the pool. I'm holding the camera, and I go, "Hey, it's me, Bob Dean from Beverly Hills, California." And I said, "And while the rest of you guys are freezing your asses off," and I walk and I pick off 2 big, beautiful Meyer lemons, and I go, "I'm getting ready to make drinks with fresh lemons. Have a nice day." And that was it. And I put that up, and the responses that I got were so hateful, and every single one of them, the spelling was incorrect. And I mean, these are like toothless people from Hooterville or whatever. They're like, "F you, dude. LA sucks. All your homeless." And I stick those lemons up your beep and all. And I was like, "What?" And they were horrible. So I made sure that I responded to each and every person.
Well, next time you should just make them a Negroni. Could you make a very good Negroni?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I was voted second best bartender in Nashville in 1995. So let's get on to what you're all about work-wise. You're such an interesting guy. The one thing I do pride myself on is that little bar, helping people to connect. And you hopefully have made some really good new friends over the last couple days. And you are so involved in these organizations that my audience and myself would like to hear more about. It's The Exit and Ian's Friends Foundation. So why don't you
two very different, two very different things. The Exit, is that what you want to start with?
It's up to you, whichever you prefer.
So I guess, let's start with the foundation. So Ian's Friends Foundation, it's a pediatric brain tumor research foundation that my wife and I started about 17 years ago. We've now funded our 50th project. We fund projects around the world, and we're very proud of some of the stuff that's gone on. People don't realize that the #1 cause of childhood death in kids under the age of 20 are brain tumors. But unfortunately, I don't know if it's just because they say there's not enough kids or whatever, they're affected by this, even though it's the #1 cause of childhood death. There's a dearth of funds that are put into research, and so
that's an incredible amount.
I mean, it really, there's 30 to 40,000 kids living with brain and spinal cord tumors. It makes no sense that the #1 cause of childhood death gets less than 4% of all the NIH funds go to all of kids' cancers, and less than 1% goes to brain tumors, which again I said was the #1 cause of childhood death. So it's up to people who want to promote and do philanthropy to be able to raise capital and fund some of these research projects. What we try and do is we try and focus on the ones that honestly have such great potential, but because it's either very early stage or there's a probability of it not working, they have a hard time raising money. So we usually try and fund those. And then once it shows efficacy, they can get larger grants from like the NIH and other institutions. So it's,
do you think
labor of love?
Absolutely, and God bless you for it. And Cheryl, And what do you think that there's been a rise in over the decades in? I mean, like, is there any kind of? I don't have any facts in front of me as far as the rise of these childhood cancer brain tumors over the last couple decades or anything, because you hear with cancer and how it seems to be affecting more people, and the things that we eat and put in our bodies, the air. Do you think any of that would be in the equation of this being the number one killer of children?
I mean, I definitely do, especially when it comes to technology, phones, AirPods. Not saying AirPods in general, but I'm saying like any types of things that we're putting next to our heads. You don't know what type of things are coming off of that. I also think that there's probably a higher, with technology getting better and better, the diagnoses are probably more accurate. And maybe before, when people maybe they were misdiagnosed, or people were passing away for different reasons and didn't realize that they also had brain tumors. But brain tumors in general, it's a weird kind of thing, right? Because there's no race, creed, color, religion, demographic, socioeconomic background, whatever. It goes after everyone and everything. And so I hope that more corporations and individuals, whether it's affected them or not, would realize that this is something that needs more attention and needs more capital if you're actually going to try and make a difference. And I do believe. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead. Continue.
No, I was just going to say, I do believe that we will be able to find a cure one day. I don't think that they'll, in all honesty, I don't think that they'll ever not continue to happen. But the one thing you want to be able to do is, if it does happen, have an answer, and therefore a cure. So I think a cure can come in many different shapes and forms. If you can take a pill and make it a chronic disease, to me, I would consider that a cure. Someone can continue to live with something. And it's something that we're asked, pretty often, is this something you think will just go away? I don't think it goes away, but I think you can cure it in many different ways, shapes.
What do you think about St. Jude Hospital in Memphis?
Great hospital, great marketing, by the way. Started by Danny Thomas.
And
anytime
55, right? I think it was 55 or something. At any rate,
I'm not sure the year. I just know that it was him. They have great marketing and do a great job providing what I would say is such a service to people, because when you go there, you don't get a bill, right? And because of that, they only so many people can go. You have only so many beds. But there are great institutions all over the country. Here in LA, you have Children's Los Angeles, which is a great hospital. There's
the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
Yeah,
it's on Vermont.
It's on Sunset.
Sunset. So, Sunset. I always think of that Sunset, Vermont, next to the Old City Hospital, right?
Right, and there's a great doctor there, Mark Krieger, who's like chief of neurosurgery. So the people in Los Angeles actually have a great resource, for them and their children here. And that doesn't matter if it's just brain tumors; it could be other diseases. It's just a great resource there here at the hospital in Los Angeles.
I feel bad because just a moment ago I said that my nephew had gone through tumor. It was brain surgery, but it was for a swelling. It wasn't for a tumor. The point being, though, is that regardless, seeing a child go through something like that, where Michael did twice, they had to drill through his skull to lift his skull out to release the pressure on the brain. I just can't imagine for the kid first of all, and then for the family. And
look, I gotta tell you, I would give my life for any child, not for any adult, but for any child. And when you see a child go through something, and again, it doesn't just have to be a brain tumor. It can be like swelling, edema, whatever it is. As a person, it is so difficult. But I have to say, I really think these children are so strong. They're actually stronger than the parents. It's they really are. I don't think as a parent there's anything worse than not being able to help your child or to see them in pain. And so
I have no children, and I've been in the restaurant business for many years, and at times when the dining room is full, you can tell if the difference between a child that's crying just for attention or it's just a brat. Mm-hmm. But when you hear a child that has hurt themselves, in one case, a little, maybe a 2-year-old reached out, and the parents were watching, but accidentally touched a sizzling platter, and she was okay. But the whole point is when you hear them cry, it just breaks my heart. Whatever has happened, you can hear that sincere cry of pain and sadness. I just want to run over and hug them or do something. It just gets to you. And then because I have no children, being a parent, I can't imagine it must be times 100.
Oh, I mean, and for Cheryl and I love my wife more than anything, but our children are our lives. We, that's just our focus.
Dude, you're one of the proudest fathers. My brother's real proud too, but you're one of the proudest fathers I think I've ever met. Yeah,
thank you. I think once you meet my daughter, you'll see why.
I can't wait.
Incredible.
And it's Arlie, right? Is coming.
Right, Arlie. Yep, Arlie's coming.
Named after your mom, and that's pretty cool too. I love the name Arlie, and short for Arlene.
Yep, and
which is I love moms' names. My mom was Stella. And I know Stella and Arlene are up there right now together watching us on the show. I believe that, So
look at I do believe in that kind of stuff as well. And Sophie was out here for the Rose Bowl game, and she's named for my dad, who was Stanley. So she was out here. I guess it was January.
I can't wait to meet her. I saved a baby once in a runaway baby carriage. I'll tell that story quickly. In Nashville, Tennessee, I was running to a restaurant and a nightclub, and separate banks. And this is back when right before the invention of the Visa check card, which basically screwed it up for every bartender or server. People used cash. And so I had these huge amounts of cash that I had to take to the bank. And this was a Monday morning. It was around Christmas time, and the Green Hills Mall in Nashville, I don't know what it's morphed into, but it was the shopping place to go. And Kane Sloan was Dillard's, they had just put up their seasonal decorations. And I remember it was early in the morning. There wasn't a lot of traffic on Abbott Martin Road. And the parking lot was a big, outdoor parking lot, and it sloped down. And I was looking at the hideous poinsettias that they had put up, and there was a Volvo station wagon. It was the only car in the lot at the top of the hill, and the rear tailgate was up, and I could see a woman on the other side of the car. Well, this little stroller comes wheeling out, okay, from behind the thing, and there's not a car in the lot. All you can see is the lines, and it starts moving. And my first thought was, surely that woman's going to grab that child. Well, I could see she was tending to another child in the back seat, and she didn't see it. And that kid started going faster and faster and faster. And when you get to the bottom where there's like the grass where the flowers are and such, but it was like a 2-foot wall. So if that stroller hit that wall, that kid would have gone flying. And I slammed on the brakes, and I threw my car up in park. And I know that it wasn't even stopped, because I'll never forget the rattle of the transmission as it went, gah, 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 gah. And I jumped out without looking, and I was wearing like boomdockers, the work boots, suede. And I remember looking down at my feet going, why can't I run any faster? It was like I was wearing Brico blocks. And I made it just as I got over that wall. I jumped over the wall when the kid, and I caught the front of the carriage, and he stopped. And this is a little blonde boy, and he was laughing his butt off. He was having a great time, And then the mom, she appeared, and she was carrying an infant, and I've never seen anybody so terrified. She was just pale, and her eyes were wide, and she could barely speak. And she said, I was tending to my baby. And I just said, just take a breath. It's okay. And walked them back up. But that was kind of neat, I thought.
Yeah, no, look, you again, you save. You don't just have to be looking for kids with brain tumors. You save the baby, and there's nothing better than that.
Hey, thanks. It was pretty cool. Now, let's talk about the exit. The exit. I put a lot of reading into. I wanted to get more to Ian's friends, and I will for my own education. But the exit is really awesome and fascinating.
Yeah, thank you. It's so it's a digital platform that you step back and you think to yourself, if there's something that affects so many people and there's nothing out there to help them, then I don't understand why other people wouldn't create something like this. So the exit is a digital platform, a new website based on separation, divorce, uncoupling, and breakups. Bloomberg did a story on it, and they called it the WebMD of divorce, in a way.
Which is very flattering.
Yeah. Well, they also called they said the happily married divorce guy, because we've been married now 27 years and I've never been divorced in my life. And actually someone's like, well, then how can you have a divorce website or anything having to do with divorce or separation or uncoupling? And I'm like, well, you don't have to be you don't have to have a bad heart to be a cardiologist, right? So as long as you can go out there and help people. On the website, it's really, it's engaging, it's easy to understand, it's unbiased, and basically it really provides information about everything. So whether it's co-parenting, dating, education, everything that you could think about is,
I
is
put
basically
the
covered.
trailer that's
Mhm.
is on. I put that up on my Facebook site early this morning, just
Oh, you
because I
did.
thought
Thank you.
oh, sure. I thought it was so well done, and the actors or the representatives are so natural as they explain, everything from financial splitting to daycare to alimony, to visitation, which are things. And I've never been through divorce either, but I guess you think of one thing, but I never think about them all being piled on at once.
Yeah, it's a daunting thing for people when they're going through something like that. Some people say it's the toughest time in their life. I think anything health wise with your child would be um, more daunting. But for people that are going through something like that, they need help. They need information, and the exit, it's a free resource. And right now the only things that are really out there are you can go to an attorney, but you'll be charged, or you can go to
A
a divorce
lot,
coach and they charge. And so
a
this is
lot.
something where as long as you have access to the internet, it's 24/7, 365, and there are people all over the world that go to this site. So it's not just in the US, but if you think about the amount of people that this affects, supposedly, and this is research that we've done, so I haven't come up with the numbers, this is research or numbers that we found. There's approximately 49% of first marriages end in divorce, around 68% of second, and 72% of third marriages. So if you
No
cuff it
kidding.
around a little over 60%, it's called 60, 63, 64% of all of those, right? If you look at first, second, and third marriages, um, for the most part, and hopefully it goes down, but it just doesn't, lands up not working out. So there's so much on the front end of things, right? Like you dating websites, and you want to get married, you have your catering halls, you have liquor, everything that's on the front end. But what happens for these things or for these people when it doesn't work out? And so that's what we wanted to do, is provide that free resource so people would have a better understanding of what they're looking at and how to get involved. Only if you know divorce or separation or whatever it is your best and last option. Like, we don't
Last
promote
option.
divorce. I don't, that's not what this is about. It's about trying to help people. And so, um, very much kind of like the foundation, you're trying to provide a service, a resource for people. Like when we're talking about, Ian's Friends Foundation, we just fund research, but there's a lot of families that find us, need help. And if there's a way that we can, when you're going through something like this, and no one expects that you're going to be told that your child has a brain tumor, right? And so when you're told something like that, your mind's everywhere. You don't know what to do, where to go, how to get there. And so if we can take that maybe 4, 5, 6 months of crazy time and condense it, into a couple of weeks, and trying to help someone get into a hospital or get to the right doctor, or something like that they're trying to achieve, it's a great feeling when you can help a family. And in this
I was
situation,
just going to ask you. It's
sucks.
got to be an incredible feeling of a genuine feeling of a connection. Helping. Whether it's a divorce crisis, but a child and their family that's going through something like this, and just knowing that you're helping them out. I'm sure that you probably get a lot of writings, responses, and from grateful people. Just let them know how much they appreciate your hard work.
Yeah, it's yeah, again, you don't do it for that, right? But
Of
there is,
course
I
not. Of
think,
course not.
right. But I'm saying, like, but it is a great feeling when you can help someone. And again, no one should ever be in that situation. No parent should ever have to hear those words, "We think we found something." But God willing, when they do hear that in the future, the next thing the doctor says is, "But don't worry, we can fix it." Right? Like that would be incredible. And that's, what our goal is to achieve that,
Do you have any
or
thoughts
achieve
on,
those goals.
not to make this on the dark side, but um, that like the AMA uh, squelches, or like the conjecture that they try to not ban, but squelch some advances in cancer research, or any kind of like AIDS, or any kind of horrible illness that is treatable with medications, and there might be some more advanced information out there. You ever thought about
Um,
that? I mean,
I don't. I know that a lot of times people get frustrated, say, like, with the FDA, or things of that nature, where um, maybe you're not allowed to be on a trial, or you're not allowed to be, or they don't want to do this yet, in a child or something like that. And when it's sometimes you know you're searching for something and there's nothing else out there, and you're not allowed to do it. um but I don't think that that's malicious, or anything. I think they're trying to protect people. However, as a parent, or anyone, even as a friend, you would want every possible piece of information that was out there to be
everything.
able to
Yeah.
be used and helped, and shared. And that's one thing I can say about the medical community. The people that are in, at least the pediatric space, for the most part, they're all great people and all want to see um, cures, and help children.
Of course,
uh,
yeah. I have a, I'm pretty the crazy one from my social growing up, but I have two friends who are physicians, and at least six that are nurses, for everything from pediatric care to surgical to care with the elderly and stuff. And first of all, it just grosses me out sometimes, like when you I used to date, my friend Judy was a trauma nurse at Miami Hospital, this city hospital. They, of course, had 50-foot gates around it. And I ran a club that was open. And so we'd have breakfast together all the time. And she'd just be over there talking about, oh, this guy came in the propeller in his head. And I'd be like, could you please stop with the details? But then I'm like, but you got that, you saved this guy. And it's just like, yeah, that's just what we do. I was
yeah, it's
also,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, it's one thing that is great that you see is, like, people wanting to give back, and when they've been, I'd say, affected by something, and they see the need and the importance and how they've been helped, they want to give back. There's a young girl who we tried to help, in the foundation, and thank God she had a great, outcome. She's doing great, but she's a pediatric a nurse now. Like, and it's great when people want to do that,
Yeah,
and give back.
man, they go through a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, that seeing what people see, on a daily basis, it'd be extremely tough to go home and leave that at the hospital. It's not like, you had a bad day trading, or you had a bad day making something, if you're a manufacturer, or even as a bartender. um, you can leave that at work. I just don't know how sometimes people separate what they see when it comes to a child, when they go home.
Really, it's a good question. We should have a pediatric, I mean, a nurse and doctor join us sometime on the
Yeah, I
show.
think
That'd be really
it'd
cool.
be good.
Um, I I lost my train of thought there.
I'm sorry, I switched back because we were talking about the exit, and then we switched back to the
But
foundation. But on the exit side, when you look at the emotional, the legal, the financial, everything that people go through, and just are searching for answers with, it becomes very scary for people. And
do you think that a lot of the people that go to your site go to it before they even bring up the fact that they might want to separate from their spouse or partner? You like do
you know,
research
I
first?
I do believe that. I would hope it's not giving anyone an advantage, but I think in any of these situations, one person, even if you're going to, counseling, or couples therapy, one person's always kind of at the end blindsided, because they don't think that other person's going to go and file a
Hmm.
divorce. Um, but one thing that I've definitely noticed is people will look around first. And one of the things I was hoping with the site, when you talked about all the different things that it covers, maybe when someone would go to the site, they'll look at this and they'll say, you know what, maybe I need to work on my marriage a little bit more before I decide to go through this. Because once you
But
start
you know
going
what?
down that path,
That's a great thought.
yeah, because again, like I said, we don't promote divorce. I think everyone should be as lucky as I am and find, a Cheryl, or, not saying find
She's
me,
all
but oh, she's the best. I mean, that's why my kids are so great. They come from her. Um, but I will definitely say that, you know, not everyone gets that lucky. And one of
Well, I believe that our Phil has jumped off there for a moment.
the
So
things that
Gary is back.
okay. I don't know if you heard that, or did it go out?
No, we lost her for about 4 seconds.
Oh, okay. So one of the things I was saying is that, with divorce, a lot of times it has people think it has like a negative stigma or negative connotation, or, that they failed at something. And one of the things that I want to do is really reposition divorce, is that you didn't fail, right? It just didn't work. And so there's always another opportunity of a better tomorrow. And, when you look at and you read some of the articles and stories that are on the site, we try and write these, or from, like, if you want to call it, like, the voice, almost like a Ted Lasso, right? Or, look, I know it sucks right now, but it will get better. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and you will be able to do this. And don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as a new opportunity for you now to maybe have that best life that you wanted. And it doesn't mean that you had to get out of something else, because, look, things don't work for many different reasons, right? Doesn't have to be anyone being unfaithful, doesn't have to be anyone being an alcoholic, or, I mean, things happen for many reasons, and sometimes people just grow apart. But in any situation, if divorce.
Hi, everybody. I'm sure Phil will be right back. Linda Fanouf's painting. Lady eating breath mint.
Then we want to be here to help you.
Go back just a few sentences, please.
Oh,
we
okay,
lost
sorry.
you.
I don't know where I went out, but I was just saying that, again, because we're not promoting divorce. I'm just saying, in the end of the day, if it is your last option, then we want to be able to provide as much of a resource as we possibly can for you.
Is there any way to track just like, for example, each category? Like we were talking about, like, to see who's going and reading the most about what. Like my interest was in when a couple unfortunately decides it's time whatever they decide to part, especially if it's been an ugly situation, the loyalty of their friends. Like, if I was divorcing my wife and all of our social circle followed her, it's, I don't know if it would be a goodbye, good riddance thing in my head, or it's like, geez, these were my friends and now they deserted me. I think that would be a huge factor to a lot of people.
I think when it comes to something like that, I think everyone reacts differently. Normally, what you, I think, do see, and this is not having anything to do with the website, this is more your day-to-day life, that you see your friends that they get divorced. There is usually one person that they gravitate, that a couple would gravitate more towards. That could be for many reasons. However, how the other person reacts to that's you can't really tell or judge. It's some people may get upset. Some people say, hey, I know you were friends with Jessica before, definitely continue to be friends with her, right? There's nothing wrong with her. It didn't work for us. Right. So that's one thing that you really, when you are trying to talk to people, I always say, take the high road, because once you get divorced, you're not, like, done, right? For the most part, you could have kids together, you could have investments together, you can have, or just friends that you will see. You're going to not leave your community. You're still going to be in your community. You'll see this person. Try and stay on the highest, level that you possibly can. I know things get ugly, things get whatever, but at one point you'll get over it, and you'll move on. You'll make back money. You'll do
Every
whatever.
cloud has a silver lining, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it really is. At least you can say to yourself that you held your head high, even though it could be hard. That you have to try that. And the other thing that you just mentioned, which is a great point, Not everyone has the support system that they think they have, right? Like even your best friend, after a while, you can be like, look, every time we go out, you don't stop talking about him or her or whatever it is. You got to stop. And
It's okay at the beginning for a little to blow off some steam, but you got to learn to put a cap on it so you don't alienate your support system because they're just damn tired of hearing it, which is fair.
And because of that, the next part or next build out of the site, like the next phase that we're working on now, is coming up with and focusing on community. Can we come up with these pods where people will, if you're 25 and divorced with no kids, you're going to have different thoughts or, different questions or want to talk about different things than maybe as a, 51, 52-year-old with 3 kids would be thinking about. So you'd be in a different pod than maybe I would be. But it would give someone the ability to basically, with total anonymity, open up and talk about their feelings to people that are like-minded or been through a like situation where it'll be relevant, as well as people feel like they have someone to turn to. Because again,
exactly, to be able to relate to somebody that's been through it and talk honestly about it, I think that would be great therapy.
Yeah, I mean, it really is like it's like your own form of therapy because you're able to talk openly, candidly, and you don't even know the person on the other side, right? It's gonna be total anonymity, but giving people that sense of warmth, security, and just a shoulder basically to lean on is something that can be truly valuable to someone, especially when it comes to the emotional, legal, financial, and mental health of someone. Because in today's day and age, I think you see that so often that mental health is something that people don't really want to talk about, right? They'll talk about their health. Oh yeah, I'm working out, I'm doing this, whatever. You put the word mental in front of it, everyone kind of shuts up. And it's I think it's great that now you see a lot of athletes and people like that coming out and showing that they're vulnerable too. And I think that makes others feel better about talking about their own situations. But anything that we can do to help people that are going through any of the issues that we spoke about.
It makes me think about over the years, 2 relationships, 2 couples that I was extreme. I'm still close with both sides of these 2 couples. But when they were going, one was in younger years and one was just over the last couple years, where one of the people in the relationship would be not like a wimp per se or the weak link, but they just didn't want to talk, did not want to discuss it. And I knew both of these couples very well over a number of years. So the person that didn't want to discuss it, I didn't pry. But then the other side would just go on and on and on to anyone that would listen about, their opinion of why the relationship failed, which is basically slamming the other person. And not like I expected. And what I expected was, what I was saying is that something like The Exit would be a place where the individual who doesn't say a word about it, would be able to go and blow out that steam, because it's a bit, it's like the kettle that's just getting ready to pop.
Right, and you would hope that, and this is something that we do hope, is that this is a resource that people will not just use, but it's really a need. It's not a want for people that are going through something like this. And even when you're looking at different things that people have to focus on, whether you have to get new credit cards, you have to get new mortgage, you may have to sell your house, you may have to you want to be able to be there to help in some way, shape, or form, as little or as much as you can. And again, when we look at stuff like this with The Exit, it's basically pretty generic, because you're not focusing on just one person's situation. There's so many different things that can go on, and we say that this is not legal advice, although definitely speak to attorneys, definitely speak with your accountants, but it's generic information that we think we want to provide to help people as much as we can. And we can tell through like the analytics what stories people are reading, where there's the most interest, and that's how we try.
That was asking earlier. Yeah.
So we try to use our SEO to figure out what types of things people want to know about, and then we will go and hire writers, people who write for major publications.
Do you have
And
one
hire
in
them and give
particular
them.
that sorry for cutting you off. Do you have one in particular category that you feel you're comfortable, not going to create to do it, but is like received more than others?
I'd say one area that I do see getting a lot of attention is always finances. Right, people are always looking at the articles having to do with that. Children is always very visited.
Is there a
I'd
category
say
there about how to talk to your children? I didn't go that deep
there
into that.
yeah, when you go to it, there's stories about how and when it's or when to sometimes introduce that next person, right? It's children are, again, to me, children are the most important thing in the world. And I think when people go through something as traumatic as divorce, you want to make sure that your children are truly taken care of, and you should do as much research, whether it's with the exit or somewhere else. You should do as much research and get as much education as you can to make sure that your child is as protected as possible, because the emotions behind that are hard. Sorry.
In many cases, I'm sure you've helped a lot of people in the respect, like you said, to look into it first, and then see if you can't look into everything you're gonna have to go to. Is would it be better? Maybe I should just give this relationship work a little harder. And I bet there's a lot of folks that that the exit has benefited in keeping the relationship together.
I mean, I truly hope so. Obviously from the altruistic standpoint, that's your goal, right? You don't want people to get divorced. But you just want to aid people if that is, again, we're not promoting it, but if that is your best and last option, then we want to, make it as easy for you as possible. But again, nothing's ever easy, and everyone's situations are different. We actually just even added to the site almost like a Dear Abby, but instead it's like ask the we call it the X Files. So the attorney in New York, is Ian Steinberg. He's great, but we wanted, because these are basically generic topics and things that people would and should look at, but people are going to have certain questions, right? And so we wanted people to be able to have that ability to basically ask a direct question and get a response, and from a licensed attorney. And so that's one of the new features on the site.
That's great. I used to love Dear Abby and Ann Landers. I'll admit it. They were sisters.
I do know that, and but Ian's great, and his name's Ian Steinberg. He's a great attorney, and I hope people enjoy that new aspect, because I wanted to make it as interactive as possible, as well, so people feel as though there's something special for them in particular.
Exactly. They're not alone. They're not alone.
Right.
And they can discuss private things privately, and it'll help to heal. It's pretty incredible.
Hopefully. Yeah. And again, it's the thing. And if it, from the altruistic side, if it stops people or just makes them think, before they go through something like this, hey, you know what, maybe I need to water my own lawn before, worrying about what someone else's lawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
what we're getting ready to wrap it up here in just a couple minutes. We have a few. What are you working on? Any other? You're just such an entrepreneur of spirit and everything. Do you have any other projects in mind that you care to let us know about, or you just cruising along with these two for now? Or?
It's a lot of my time is spent, on these two different organizations. I'm involved in a lot of different, for-profit and nonprofit boards. But right now, I'd say the majority of my time is spent on these two different companies.
Now, as far as a personal, you played football?
I did a long time ago.
A long
long time ago. But now it's I guess you feel the pains now when you wake up in the morning. But now my playtime is with my kids, my wife, and and my
What
wife's
do you guys
family.
do? Do you like ski together or camp together? What do you have a favorite family activity?
I will say skiing is one holiday or one activity that you can do as a family that everyone stays together. Sometimes you go away, you go
I
to the
just had a
beach.
feeling you were a skiing family,
Yeah, it's always a great trip. It's a lot of fun, but most importantly, it's everyone stays together. Sometimes you go to the beach, you have some that want to some that go here, some that go there. It's one aspect where people all stay together. So it's usually a great trip.
Well, now that the kids are getting older, do you still hope that you'll be able to pull that together? Because sometimes as the kids grow and marry and that sort of thing, the families can still keep.
It gets harder and harder, each year, because effectively everyone's got different schedules, right? You have one kid's now in college, two are working. It's always something. But it's Cheryl is the one who keeps she's the glue.
The glue.
100%.
That's what my mom was too. This couple I'm going to mention, Lisa and Steve Logan. I know they watch and listen from time to time. They just retired and they're in Kentucky now. But I went to high school with these two, and she was the captain of the cheerleaders, and Steve was a big ball player, and he was a senior, she was a junior, and they went on their first date at the Pizza Hut in Bellevue, where there was nothing out there. It was a suburb, and they just celebrated their 47th, and they have 5 marvelous children who are all just thriving, and one of them, Steven, I'm sort of his surrogate uncle because he was here at USC for a couple of years in Los Angeles. But I just sent him a message. I'm like, you guys are so cute and have been together with these smiles. It's getting kind of nauseating.
Well, it's again, everything that's great, especially with my family, is due to my wife. So, like I said earlier, she's the glue. She keeps everything together. But you're right. As you get older, it gets harder and harder, whether you're trying to go on vacations or go for dinners or do whatever, because everyone's life kind of moves on and changes. And I was talking with someone yesterday who has 2 young children, and I was telling him just totally different topic, but you know what, just enjoy, because it goes by so fast.
That's what I looked at my nieces and nephews, and I was more of an on-site uncle before I moved to Los Angeles, and they were all, 10, 11, and that sort of thing. And I saw them all the time. And then I would be gone for a few months to a year, and then I'd go back to Charlotte to visit. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, because you step away, and that's what I'm saying. They grow so quickly. I can't even imagine from the parents' perspective that you just turn around, Wow.
It does go really fast, but that's why, when we do try and travel, it's, always with them in mind. Like, we're going to go visit Ian in school, or we're going to go visit the girls in New York, or wherever it is. But you just got to really cherish those times, because life goes very fast.
You're a pal for being here today, Phil. I guess I'll see you this evening at the hotel.
Absolutely.
Bellman cap. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for discussing the exit and the Ian Foundation, and I'd like to do. Let's work on another show about this and bring on some other people to join us with it. We can do it in the studio.
No, that'd be great. And I would like to say, anyone who's out there in Los Angeles in November, we have our gala here. So it was started in Atlanta, but now we have a chapter here of Ian's Friends Foundation, and in November we have our gala, and we'd love for anyone to come. Please go on the website. It's iansfriendsfoundation.com. Buy a ticket, see what it's about, and if there's any way that we can help any of you, please reach out.
And that's coming in November.
Yep.
Boom, boom. Thank you, sir. You're a pal, and I enjoyed it, and I'll see you this evening. Thank you guys for watching and listening, and don't forget, I'm going to be at the Ha Ha Club on a week from tonight. So get up your asses and go to the Valley. Bye, Phil.
Bye.
Thanks, Sam.
You're listening to The Bob Dean Show, only on LA Talk Radio.